Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we're going to answer the question we've all been asking. Why are we still recapping this show? No, I'm kidding. Why Greg went to the reunion. Greg tells Victoria, and I'm paraphrasing this, you got some balls to ask me to go on the show. I never thought it would happen. Reality, Steve had a hypothesis. He was saying, well, I think Greg's going to show up because X, Y, and Z. I said, no way. You got it wrong. They can't pay him enough money to show up. And sure enough, he shows up. And I was like, well, I guess I was wrong there. Just a shocker. So we're going to get into this story. But more importantly, Greg talks about inner child work, which I love when contestants bring therapy onto the show and actually have meaningful discussions. As much as you don't want to see Victoria and Greg and Johnny and anybody get ripped to shreds for what they do on TV, at the very end, if they can regrow and rebirth from that sort of collapse of who they previously were, that is a good thing, and that can happen. It could happen for Victoria, and it could happen for Greg. Maybe it involves some mushrooms or ayahuasca or a shaman somewhere. I don't know, but either way, do what you need to do to recover from, you know, the traumas we grew up with. I think that's a good thing. If you want to check out more bonus content, my wife, I almost said fiance, my wife and I have a vlog channel, or it's on her vlog channel, and it's called Vlogmas. And every year we do Christmas-themed vlogs. If you want to check that out, just posted it. We're getting great reviews. It's in 4K. Beautiful vlog of my wife, myself, and our beautiful elderly basset hound doing Christmas-themed activities. All right, so let's get into it. Let's hear what Greg has to say regarding his inner child work. I got to tell you, I'll bury the lead. I kind of think I'm starting to like Greg. I mean, I've always liked Greg. I really have. I've always found him to be a pretty good guy in his attempt to grow. But any couple that's willing to put in the work and talk about things like this, I support.
In that department?
Absolutely. I mean, we have this conversation all the time, like about like our inner child work and like what type of, you know,
wounds we have.
Yeah, wounds or like traumas like we have. And we just try to stay cautious of that. You know, yours would probably be abandonment, and you know that means I'm not bursting out of the house or being like, well, I'm not coming out with anything like, oh, I'm leaving, like
or threatening to leave the relationship.
It's just really staying cautious and like, you know, it's just a new relationship, so we're really just trying to just be careful as we can.
And it's like learning your own trigger and learning your partner's trigger and not necessarily avoiding it, but, you know, having a fair conversation. That's really what it comes down to, is a fair conversation. Hey, brief shout out to the friends that came to my stand-up show last night in the Village in New York City. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Shows tonight in West Side Comedy Club in the Upper West Side. And then tomorrow night, another couple shows in Greenwich Village. If you want to come to those, follow me on Instagram at DNeals. All right, what is the inner child? What is inner child work? We hear these terms. What do they mean? The inner child is part of our subconscious. So when we work with this part of us, we're working with the subconscious to change current day patterns. And if people are wondering, do I have a problem? Do I need to work on it? Look directly in the camera. Yes, you do. We all do. We all have work that needs to be done and continue to be done. I look at it like a video game that has no ending. The ending is nirvana, right? The ending's just pure bliss. We're not there yet. Keep peeling away the layers. We have the opportunity to go within and explore unhelpful messages we received as children, such as you are too much or you are stupid. Inner child work allows us to address unhelpful coping mechanisms we developed in childhood to get our needs met. 25 signs you have a wounded inner child. You are on Bachelor. 25 signs. You are on the show The Bachelor. Number 1, you feel that there's something wrong with you. You feel anxiety whenever doing anything new. You tend to be a chronic people pleaser. That's me. Bingo. Your deepest fear is being abandoned. You're driven to be an A+ super achiever. Nah, I don't really have that. You like, this is good enough. You're driven to, okay, you constantly criticize yourself. I constantly criticize people's audio. I've got a wounded inner child from listening to bad audio, listening to Amy Grant in my, DVD cassettes in my mom's station wagon. You never felt close with your mother or father. I don't know about that. I felt close to my mom, maybe. Yeah, but of course, like I said, we all have inner child issues we need to work on, folks. How about some affirmations for you? Just say a few of these today while you're driving to work, whatever. I will keep you safe now. Yeah, it sounds kind of weird to say that to yourself. We do not need to betray ourselves to be loved. In the past, people hurt us, and I am now here for our healing. You are worthy just as you are. We are free to rest, play, explore, and do things we love just for us. You know, that's part of my sort of like goals and dreams in life, are just to like be playful and not feel judged. And it's like, you know, you see the version I present to you and vice versa. We all love this version, but it really is like, how do you dance and not feel judged? That's the, you know, and I mean that metaphorically, but how do you can skip through the streets and not care what other people think of you? That's the goal, folks. And I really appreciate that Greg brought this up.
To be mindful and intentional with one another, because we both have come from such toxicity in both our previous relationships. So now we just are hyper aware of everything.
And people have commented, if Victoria says she comes from toxicity, she has to look in the mirror, and Greg as well, and we all do. If you know, it takes two to tango, or sometimes more than two to tango, but the point being that, oh, I only date jerks. Well, why are you attracting jerks? What do you bring to the table that brings you to the jerk store? Everybody hold yourselves accountable. You can't change others, but you can look at why you're in a mess. And maybe that's what they're doing. Now, of course, we can pick apart moments in this interview where we can see Victoria shift to anger. And when people shift to anger, I see that as sadness. And I really think, and I've said this before, it always resonates when I say this. I think for people listening, if you're ever dealing with an angry person, just reframe their anger as sadness, and you might not be as offended. We get offended when someone's angry, but we don't get offended when someone's sad. So try to not take someone's anger as insulting or like, oh, I'm lesser than because they're angry at me. Just think of it as like that's their way of coping with something that's not right yet. And I think that can help us like sort of build those empathic bridges, as it were,
with one another.
And on top of that, I mean, this week in general has definitely been the most challenging week for us. And I think it would probably be one of the most challenging weeks for like most new relationships in life. You know, to just see like so many people like against us, and like I've been through my shit with my season. She's been through her shit. So we kind of like both been through this in a sense, but like it's hurtful for me. It's been killing me how much this has affected her. And it's been really hard to
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Stay upbeat in everyday life, you know, when this shit is like weighing over our heads, but we're still making it work, and we're still going to be together after this.
Yeah.
And we're going to figure it out.
You going to AF?
And a lot of people have said that it's so heavy for an early relationship. Yeah, it's gasoline. They've poured gasoline on the relationship with everything that's gone down. Some of the gasoline they've poured, some the audience has poured, some people in Rome poured, and now they're going to decide what they've got when all the dust settles, and we'll see.
How did that happen? And are you like, why did you go?
So after Italy, obviously a lot of people started finding out about that, and you know, one of the producers called her the week after, and they were like, how do you think that he would feel about coming out? And she's like, he would never go for it, because at the end of the day, their breakup had nothing to do with me. And
he's got a point there. Their breakup had nothing to do with Greg. Now, you could make the argument they broke up because of the trust issues, because Johnny knew Greg was waiting in the wings. Listen, Johnny and Victoria would have found another reason to break up. Maybe it was expedited. Maybe it was 2-day shipping, you know? But that package was getting delivered. Now Greg's package is getting delivered, you know what I'm saying? Oh, wrong button. I meant to hit the wrong one. Oh boy, geez. We really missed Greg's package is getting delivered.
Oh my God.
Okay, you got it there.
Me going out there made it seem like that in a sense. You know, it turned into her and I. But when she called me the week after her and the producers talked, I immediately heard it in the tone of her voice. She's like, so I talked to this producer, and I was like,
and then Greg goes, you must got some balls. You got some Jersey balls on you to think you're going to drag me into your little skits.
Like, you got some balls. If I like believe that you're about to ask me what you're about to ask me.
I'm not kidding when I say I want to move to New Jersey. I like New Jersey. I like the people. Greg's the most toned down version of New Jersey. He's like, you got some balls. If you think she's like, I don't have balls. I have ovaries. What do you? I think I do.
And she just like, you know, started laughing. And at first we were really reluctant because like we care about this relationship so much.
We just want to protect it.
And we wanted to protect it.
Yeah.
But me and her continue to grow every single day. And I mean, there was no
apparently Victoria's growing balls
question towards the end. And like with all this stuff coming out, that I was just like, I just need to support her no matter what. I'm going out there.
And Greg needs to support her because she's his lady and they've been dating for 3 years now. Wait, what's that? What's that? It's only been 12 days? Oh boy.
And he knew what I was walking out into because we had kind of caught wind of what Johnny was going to be saying. And, you know, to have that accusation against me, he just wanted to support me and be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I get it. It's rough. Greg's the new guy, so he's got a bias because he's the new guy. But at the same time, try to find the things here. People are saying that they've been canoodling since September 8th. Johnny says their relationship didn't end until mid-September. So obviously, you know, I'm not saying Victoria cheated. I'm saying sources say she cheated. Like, for those that are like, you know, I was the first one to talk about this, but like, trust me when I say it was a tidal wave approaching. You know what I mean? It was like iceberg right ahead. Okay, it was coming. This conversation was coming, and the timeline was murky, and it still is. My person over here in New York City says they're both on a list on September 8th, being at a nightclub together. I know the nightclub, and they were canoodling on the couch. Now, could a friends be canoodling on the couch? Yeah, sure. Now, could Victoria have honestly broken up with Johnny end of August, and he just couldn't take it? And yeah, that's absolutely true too. That narrative fits. Johnny knew when him and his kind of cronies were saying that she was cheating, that she wouldn't be able to prove she wasn't, and she knows that they won't be able to prove that she cheated. You know what I mean? So it's one of those, like, no one really knows. And yeah, we should lean on innocent until proven guilty, but I mean, this is an unfortunate truth when you go on the TV show, is that people are going to be overanalyzing the timeline 17 videos later.
And it was so difficult because like I didn't know I was going out on stage until like 4 hours prior. We really wanted this to happen in the back. I didn't want this to happen in a full audience because like I know how it's perceived, but there was, you know, they were really making it as if like there was like really no way around it. I mean, I understand it's like hard to film like in a goddamn trailer. So
if Greg, trust me when I say this, if Greg held true to his guns, they would have filmed him in the bathroom of that venue. Trust me when I say that. The information in the tea is so piping hot. They made it seem to Greg like he had to do it live, and they took the bait, and that wasn't the right thing to do. It wasn't the right thing to do for any of them in this situation with a live audience, because it does get nasty out there. Now, look, is my voice as nasty as a couple hundred people yelling and booing? I personally, my bias is that that we're having more of a sort of I mean, you can call me biased in one direction. Of course, we all have our biases, but like, I'm trying to give them as much benefit of that as possible here. I don't know if the audience did that. The audience always resorts to groupthink. It's like either we boo or we cheer. The audiences are not smart. Humans are smart. Humanity is not. January 6th.
No question for me that I wanted to support her. It was just about how we can do this. And I knew what she was walking into, and I wanted to do it with her. I didn't want her to do this alone.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we have
great recap by Nico. Makes sense. All right, next video, in our final video of the day, I'm going to share the overall rating that people have given Nick for how he conducted this interview. Pretty interesting stuff. We'll get right into it. If you haven't already, check out Vlogmas. There'll be a bubble right there. You can go click on it. Otherwise, just search Tasha Courtney Vlogmas, my wife. It's on her vlog channel, and you're going to get all the Christmas content over there. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye, everybody.